Game of Thrones Season 8, episode number 2 is over, but we are just getting started on the Game of Thrones post-show recap live. And now, here are the two guys who are hoping that you are up for some more scintillating conversations tonight. I'm Rob Cesternino here with Stephen Fishback on the Snow It All. Stephen, how are you?
Rob, great. Last episode you said you felt a little frustrated. You felt like it was a table setting episode. Little did you know you were in for some more table setting tonight. But I actually think there's a lot to like about tonight's episode. I think, it was certainly not the most fast-paced, crazy episode. But if last week was table setting, I feel like tonight was table setting for the kids' table, which is a little more fun, a little more wild. Like the adults are over there talking about politics and the realms, and the kids are they want to hook up, they want to they want to get drunk and have some fun. And I felt like there were some fun character moments tonight.
A lot of fun character moments. We get the big reveal at the end of the episode there with Jon and Daenerys. Did not think that we were going to get that. So that was a little bit of a sneak attack there at the end of the episode where it was a real table setting night on Game of Thrones.
Yes. And it was, if last week was sort of the A players, a lot of this week's were the sort of the B characters. I mean, of course we had the A players there as well. It's Game of Thrones, but you got a lot more focus. Everyone of the sort of second tier cast kind of got their moment, their little bit of dialogue before what I'm assuming is going to be a crazy race to the finish now.
Yeah, so it was a night where there wasn't a lot of Jon Snow up until the very end, but everybody else that's at Winterfell got their moment here in this episode.
Yeah, and a lot of really nice character things. You had Grey Worm and Missandei, talking about their future together. You had Brienne getting knighted, which was a powerful moment for her. Arya and Gendry, wow, that I did not see coming. But that in the thing at the end, in the sort of the Davids kind of talking about the episode after the episode, they were saying, this is sort of everyone is kind of facing death, right? They're facing what they believe is very likely their last night on Earth, and how they go about that and how they sort of deal with those complex emotions. It's all going to be different, and for someone like Arya, who's this battle hardened killer, I guess it makes sense. I want to experience this other very human thing that I have no experience of.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that. I really was not ready for that. Yeah, I mean, this episode really did bring you there. It was almost like that you were right there. One of these people who is you've been waiting for this huge, momentous event, and you are expecting that it potentially could be around the corner, but instead you're just doing a lot of sitting around and waiting. Yeah. And that you really got to experience that in this episode tonight.
The drinking thing, I was surprised. A lot of people were drinking. I mean, I've never been in battle myself, but if I were going to be in battle, I would not want to go in drunk.
No, I don't think so. But I kind of feel like that when you are headed into a fight, not that I would know particularly well, I'm not sure if necessarily as you are prepared to meet almost certain doom, if maybe being a little tipsy isn't the way to go into it.
It works for Thoros of Myr, right?
It worked for Thoros of Myr that one time, but we did get a lot of fun. I'm not going to complain. I know that there's probably people who I'm not on Twitter right now posting about how can you believe this? I'm sure that the quick reaction tonight is going to be that what are they doing? They're wasting time. I can't believe this. Nothing happened. I do feel like that those people are probably going to end up with egg on their face after next week's episode, which I think is going to be this climactic battle to end all battles. So I don't think that there is too much sense in going nuts over a slow-moving episode number 2 after a slow-moving episode number 1 of this final season of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and as Josh commented in your guys' feedback show, most Game of Thrones episodes don't have crazy battles. The whole crazy battle, new addition to the series. I mean, obviously there have been battles throughout, but it's not like most of the episodes have some absurd giant set piece. So, and given what I guess we're hoping for from the coming weeks, it's not totally nuts that this was a really low key episode, since presumably, hopefully next week there will not be a lot of time for character moments and conversations.
No, you wouldn't think so. I mean, this was almost like the Blackwater episode, which is another Game of Thrones battle episode, but without the Blackwater battle.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Just although that is a crucial part of that episode.
Yeah. But that's, a very well received episode of Game of Thrones. But maybe it's because you have sort of the juxtaposition of the Blackwater battle itself, plus also everything that's going on behind the scenes.
Maybe they took a lot of, a lot of people said, right, the episode where they go beyond or the Beyond the Wall, I think it was what was called, right, where that small group goes to get the white and bring it back, and everyone was like, we loved the talking, we loved the character moments, didn't love the action scenes at the end. And so maybe like the Davids were like, you know what, character moments, talking, no more action scenes.
Yes, I think that was very fun. I like that in the Beyond the Wall episode, all of those moments from that episode. I think that was one of the things I really liked about that. This was all really fun, too. I just think that it was the expectations were not set properly, where I think that there's going to be a lot of people that went to Game of Thrones watch parties, a lot of people, maybe some of the Game of Thrones casuals, who these conversations, I think, tonight are probably going to be, if you went on the Game of Thrones Facebook page, I think that there's probably a lot of people that might be annoyed.
Now, I have two bones of contention here, and I want to raise them, all right out of the gate, which is the first bone of contention I have is, like, I feel like when we get in this future fantasy world where we actually have the books, people are not just going to like say, I'm sorry, and have all of their past transgressions forgiven. I don't love that. Like, someone walks in the door, you've killed my father, you killed her father, you killed all of our fathers, and they're like, you know what? I was wrong. That was the wrong thing to do. I apologize. I'm here to die with you. Oh, okay, come on in. Like, I don't think I would be that forgiving about my father.
Yeah, but with certain doom marching on your castle, you still would, hold this grudge.
Do I want like the person who's betrayed me standing next to me fighting for me? And as you know, and Wiggler on Twitter had a great point. Like, of all of the people to put in this crucial role of defending Bran, why would you put Theon? Like, of like all of the greatest warriors in the realm, why is Theon getting like the A squad treatment?
Yeah, it is weird that it's almost like that the whole plan is hinging on, okay, so we're going to lure the Night King out, and then to protect him, let's put our most cowardly guy who just only recently got his groove back, when faced with, with all due respect, the less sinister Euron Greyjoy recently jumped overboard. Would not even defend his own sister. We're going to trust him with Bran, who I think most of the common folk thought for a good period of time that he actually killed Bran. And that was, an ironic choice.
Maybe put Brienne in there. If she's the person we trust the most, let's get Brienne, or some like incredible warrior. I mean, not for nothing, like, these Ironborn aren't the A Squad Ironborn either. Like, they're the ones who like got tired of beating up Theon and therefore submitted to him. Like, they'd like beat him up too much, got worn out, and they were like, all right, you're our new ruler.
Yeah, so there really wasn't a lot of pushback. It seems like that you would want somebody who was in there that was going to be with the Valyrian steel sword. I don't know why you wouldn't have Jon Snow there also. If you want somebody that's going to be going into like hand-to-hand combat with the Night King, why you would have Theon there with Bran? Like, I don't understand, like, other than the dragons, whose job is it to take out the Night King?
Yeah, I mean, so maybe we should just talk about. I mean, I guess we should dive into that. It seems like there's this plan where Bran is going to be the bait, and he's got a little coterie of people around him protecting him. But the bigger sort of the main attack team is going to be hoping to swoop in when the Night King exposes himself. So like there's like a defensive team. And then there's also like an offensive team on this like Night King mission. And then there's like the general sort of mass of Unsullied who are just, going to die to the army of the dead.
Mm-hmm. Why? This is what I was thinking as we're talking military strategy, as two of the great military minds in Westeros are here tonight. Would it be smart, Stephen? Should Dany get on one of the dragons and take out some of the army of the dead infantry?
Yeah, that was one of the questions. Like, what are we doing with this dragon fire? So it does seem like, why not just do a little bit of scorching? But I mean, are we going to see dragon on dragon combat?
I don't know. Where is Viserion? Well, I mean, you would think that maybe that they would have Viserion going out and buzzing Winterfell. It seems like that the dragons are going to be sort of the major players in this, but we didn't see the dragons in this episode. There was like no talk of other than will Dragonfire kill the Night King? Really, that I feel like that would be a big part of the plan of getting ready.
Are you in? Do you think that Dragonfire will kill the Night King? Is this how the Night King
No,
goes?
I don't. That Dragonfire may kill the Night King, but I don't think that is how the Night King will go down. Will be by Dragonfire.
Yeah. How do you think it's going to go?
I think he's going to be in hand-to-hand combat with Jon Snow.
Yeah. What about Arya with her new weapon?
I think Arya will take out some whites along the way, maybe a White Walker or two, but I don't think that she's going to be the person who's going to ultimately take out the Night King.
So now that we've seen her weapon, we speculated a lot about what it was last week. Do we have any more clue of what it is? It looks like some kind of like some staff.
Yeah, it seems like it's a staff with the ability to have, it looks like dragonglass spears on the end. But you would think that against swords, and I just the Unsullied do fight with staffs like that, but you would think that a sword would cut that in two.
Yeah, like and we'll see. I mean, she knows. Well, we'll trust Arya's instincts over our own on this one.
Okay, let's talk about this top story at this hour.
Yeah,
like the one major development that we learned in this episode here tonight. So Jon, lots of time in the crypts at Winterfell here in this final season, and Jon staring at Lyanna Stark, and then Daenerys comes up and says, "Oh, who's that?" Actually, and Jon ends up not hiding anything. He gives the whole spiel about that was my mother, and Rhaegar Targaryen is actually a good guy, and then goes on to explain the whole thing. And Dany very quickly deduces, oh, well, that means that you would have a better claim to the throne than me.
And Dany has a really great objection, which is, so the only two people who know this are your brother and your best friend. Like, they're your exclusive two sources for why you're the rightful king of the world.
Yes. And Dany wants to contest the claim, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I would be skeptical if you came to me and said, you know what, Nicole and Dominic say I'm the greatest, knowing is know-it-all. I would be like, I don't buy it. I don't know. I need to see the receipts.
No, it would be like if I went to somebody else and said that Dany Cesternino and Stephen Fishback told me. They said, oh, what, your brother and your best friend? Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, I'd believe that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Jon, I don't know why, and you knew like they were going to get interrupted before that he could say, but like Jon does not want to sit on the Iron Throne, correct?
But
right, read on that.
But I thought he was going to say that. I thought he was going to.
But I don't know why. But like a. It's like, oh, all right. Yeah. Well, but you would think that they could walk and talk and be like, but I don't want to sit on the Iron Throne. Just so you know, like I don't want to be the king. Yeah. Like that's not me.
It does
like Arya once said to Nymeria.
Yeah. It felt like there was a crucial thing that they could have continued. Yeah. Some crucial end to that conversation really could have come out. Yeah. But Dany was really, and that subject of Dany's right came up also with Sansa. Another conversation that was interrupted. She just can't have a good conversation about her rights as queen.
She's always getting interrupted, and unfortunately, then she just doesn't have time to finish any of these conversations. We had so many characters in this episode. Like, well, We've got all the time in the world. Only Daenerys is the only one. And the queen is busy. Queen's busy.
Nobody interrupted the knighting session with Brienne. Nobody knocked on Gendry's door while they were getting it on.
Yeah. Thank goodness. Goodness. I'm so distracted with getting into everything. I want to mention that here we are on Fan Cred, and if you want to jump on and talk with Stephen and I, ask your questions on the fan line, you can push the button in the upper right to get your questions in, to ask your Game of Thrones questions at the end of the recap coming up here in just a bit. So looking forward to talking with anybody who has a question for us here tonight. Stephen, then Jaime Lannister did have a lot to do tonight. It was a big night for Jaime.
Started the episode, he was on trial for his life, it seemed, right? Like Danny, says, I used to hear stories growing up about all the terrible things we would do to you, and now I've got you in front of me.
Yes, and so that Jaime ends up coming through that. It's really Brienne who comes to his defense, which then flips Sansa, and then Jon basically says, "We need all the help that we can get." So he's able to at least fight for the. He doesn't really have an important job. He's just there, kind of.
Yeah, he's just there to like stand with them and be part of this final fight against the darkness. Colin Stone texted me that Danny and Jon are pioneering the voting block era of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. We've got, I thought this was very interesting. There was one moment where we're sort of like talking through what is the motivation of the Night King? And that was something that has been talked about a lot in the lead up to season 8. What does the Night King want? The Night King has never spoken a word in the series. What does the Night King want? And Bran tells us the Night King wants him. And we got the appropriate follow-up question. Okay, why? And so I want to know from you, Stephen, did you buy what Bran was selling in terms of the reason why the Night King wants Bran is so that he wants everyone to forget?
You know what? I actually thought this was really cool. And I was very nervous. I said it last week. I was nervous about learning the Night King's motivation. I didn't want some he was mad at his mom, and so he decided to wreak destruction on the Seven Kingdoms and bring about an era of eternal darkness. But I thought it was really cool that he does want, this is a force of death. This is a force of destruction, and the ultimate destruction of all humanity is forgetting. It is losing your memory. It is losing your ability to connect with your past. Game of Thrones is a series that is so focused on history and what has come before. And, I think so much of the emotional pull of these, even just from the very start, you enter this world that has such a rich history where, you have so many, incredible moving things and relationships in the past. And I really think that tug of history, that sense of memory is an animating part of this show. And so I thought that the Night King's desire to destroy Bran as the symbol, not just a symbol of memory, I guess, but also the living embodiment of the memory of these realms. I thought that I love that. I thought that was really cool. What did you think?
Okay, well, I'm glad that you were so high on it, because I really felt like, really? That's it? That's it? That death is death is death. Death is not forgetting. The history of the realm could be lost. Oh no, God forbid. That's what the Night King is out to do. I think I'd throw Bran out of Winterfell if I was any of these people. if that's all he wants here, you can have him. He's a weirdo anyway. So I was like, I thought that was, I don't know. Like when you get into the motivations of mythological creatures here, and this was something that I felt like that was a problem for Lost when they had to, assign motivation to the smoke monster and stuff like that. Okay, so now like this is the master plan for the Night King, that he's about, making humanity forget the history of, what's the next stop? Citadel is going to burn that place to the ground.
Well, I think he's also going to kill everybody. I think they're like two parts of the same goal.
Not Yara.
Like part A, kill everybody. Not Yara.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's on the Iron Islands.
oh
Can't
yeah,
get there.
can't swim.
Everybody in the East will be okay.
Yeah. Well, but they won't remember. So, they will forget how
No,
to.
they've
Yeah.
got that play that's running in Bravo. So the entire history of Westeros.
Maybe
That's
that.
gonna undo.
Maybe what's her
Lady
name?
Crane is
Lady
gonna
Crane.
undo the
Yeah.
Night King.
Maybe Lady Crane is second on the hit list.
Mhm.
It's so I think it's like the two sides of the same. Right?
Just kidding. Lady Crane's already dead. I know. Don't at me. Don't at me.
But I think I think Game of Thrones is one place where death isn't death, right? You have all these like legendary figures whose knowledge redounds down through the era, through the eons. You have these tombs where you've got the statues that commemorate people's past, and so on the one hand we do have to smite everybody down, we being the army of the dead. On the other hand, we also have to remove their memory from the realms. I mean, look, I hear you. Like, he's a force of death and destruction. He doesn't need any more than that. But if you're going to have some motivation, I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay. All right. So that's what we found out about Bran. Bran got to have the meetup with Jaime Lannister that they have not been in the same place at the same time back, other than last week, since the first episode. And this was a question that was also part of the lead up to the season of what's going to happen when Jaime and Bran finally get to have a meeting of the minds. And we had where Bran, he likes to jab people a little bit when like I know something that I'm not going to say in front of everybody here. But Jaime asked him, why didn't you out me? Why didn't you tell everybody what I did? And I thought the Bran had a good answer.
Yep, which was then you would not be here to fight alongside us. It doesn't do us any good if we just kill you. So that was pretty good. I did think it was funny in that room where like Bran just like pipes up the things we do for love, like, and everyone's like, okay, weirdo, like, all right, whatever. Like, everyone's kind of like, okay.
That was as a non sequitur. That is random.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of tenuous that Jaime would even remember something he had like offhandedly said 8 years ago after he, pushed some kid out a window. Like, would you remember like 8 years ago? I had the funniest quip, when I pushed that kid out the window.
You'd remember.
You would remember. I had the best line.
I have too many. It'd be so hard for me to remember just one. But what I liked at the end of that conversation was where Jaime's like, well, what about after this? And Bran says, well, what makes you think there is an after this? And Jaime's like, well, because it's only the second episode of the season. But I did think that thematically, I felt like that there was, that idea brought up a couple times in the episode of like, what happens after this? If there is an after this. I think that was on the mind of a lot of the characters in this episode.
And I thought, and throughout, I thought it was really cool to see Jaime as just this completely humbled figure. He has come so far from from those first episodes in the first season, and a lot of the exchanges that we saw this episode were just kind of him being this totally transformed individual. He's you have that scene with him and Brienne where Brienne says, how has it been so long? We've been talking this whole time and you haven't insulted me. And Jaime kind of like awkwardly says, do you want me to insult you? He doesn't even have like his insult groove.
That's how I feel about you when in this conversation that you've gone too long without insulting me.
Yeah. Well, I'm here to serve as a co-podcaster under you. It'd be my honor to serve under you.
Okay, well, I will knight you by the end of this podcast as an honorary podcast award winner. Does Jaime really have any authority to knight Brienne?
He says any knight can knight anybody else.
I think that he is pulling Brienne's chainmail right now because I think that Jaime is disbarred from. I do not think that he has any authority right now. I mean, Cersei is trying to assassinate him. I do not think that he has any command of any forces of the Seven Kingdoms.
Maybe that's like the really climactic end of the series is that we've, people are dying. We lose all these major characters. Arya's dead. Dany's dead. Sansa's dead. And we learn too that Brienne never was, authoritatively knighted. Her knighthood was illegitimate.
Well, I just think that somewhere down the road, if there is an after this for Brienne, that she's going to be somewhere like, hey, Lady Brienne. She's like, actually, it's Sir Brienne. Oh, really? Since when? Like, Jaime Lannister knighted me.
Yeah.
And it'll be the same thing. Like, oh, really? Oh, so your best friend, you're telling me your best friend who isn't even in the Kingsguard anymore knighted you? And you want us to believe, like, he did, I swear. Ask Tormund Giantsbane.
It does seem like if any knight can knight anybody, it's like a system that's rife for abuses. You know, I mean, I would,
it's cronyism.
Yeah, exactly. It's really what this is.
Yeah. So we're having fun. We're bouncing around here. I know Sansa is very worried about feeding everybody at Winterfell, but if all of the characters could simply chew the scenery like Tormund Giantsbane has been able to do here in season number 8 of Game of Thrones, no one would be hungry.
Yeah, that was great. You really you did a great job of that was a great extended metaphor. Really like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will do or say anything to impress Brienne.
I could not believe how long that went on for of Tormund's anecdotes and stories for Brienne. If the last shot of the series is in Tormund and Brienne's wedding, then I'm not sure if the payoff will be worth it.
What was your favorite of them?
I mean, when he talks about how he when he goes on about my name is Giantsbane. You want to know how? And then he goes into how he killed a giant, and then he got into the giant's bed with his wife, and then you know what happened next? She nursed me for 3 months like I was her baby. Giant milk. That's the secret of Tormund's success.
Do you think that is that going to be canonical?
Yes, yeah. I think so. Why was he spilling all of the milk on himself like he's never drank out of that giant horn before?
Oh, I didn't even notice that. I was, I guess maybe he was nervous. I totally didn't notice that.
Yeah. Okay. But I mean, Tormund was hilarious. I just can't believe how much time they gave in this episode to Tormund's anecdotes.
Oh yeah, I mean the whole thing, just like it was. That's what was so great about this episode was you did get these like really fun moments that just kind of, they almost wouldn't fit into a normal game. Like right. Season 4, you probably wouldn't get this.
If there weren't only 4 episodes left of the series, this would be my favorite episode of all time.
Yeah. Oh, really?
It was a lot of fun. It's just like, oh boy, we got a lot to do.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. You're like, let's move on. Let's get on with it. Yeah.
Right. This was, I feel like that this was like a lot of secret scenes, and we didn't really see any action.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about one conflict we did see, which was the Sansa and Daenerys conflict.
Yes.
So it seems like Jorah Mormont tells Daenerys, first he says, go easy on Tyrion, he's a good guy. Mm-hmm. And then he says, and one other thing. And then we see, Daenerys go to Sansa. And it looks like it's kind of at Jorah's behest that he's trying to like make nice with Sansa. Sometimes she's trying to make nice with Sansa at his behest. And so she sits down and is like, we're 2 awesome queens. Like, why are we at each other's throats?
Yeah, I like that because I felt like that one of my major complaints with season 7 was all of the friction between Sansa and Arya, and I'm glad that we weren't going to go down that road too much. Seemingly, I'm like, oh, good, okay, we're both awesome queens, and we both men aren't used to us leading them, and why are we having beef? And then, but then it sort of ended on after Sansa says, well, what happens next? What happens for the North? And then Dany like pulls her hand back. Dany, could you at least like get to the Iron Throne before you're worried about what's going to happen in Winterfell?
Yeah. Although I mean, her whole thing is like, if I'm Dany, I'm like, you know what, I want my ducks in a row before that. Like, let's sort this stuff out here where we're all friendly, mm-hmm. before. But I hear you. Like, if like everyone's gonna die, what does it matter? What happens in Winterfell?
Yeah,
that's interesting. And then they were interrupted. So
they were interrupted again by your Royal Highness. Please, we have urgent business. Theon is here. Like, oh, why did you tell me Theon Greyjoy is here?
Yeah,
should have come in 5 minutes ago.
If she has to greet everyone who walks in the doors of Winterfell, like no wonder she's always being interrupted.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why that wasn't like Danny be like, yeah, okay, can you tell Theon I'll be right with him? We're kind of in the middle of an important meeting here with the Lady of Winterfell.
Yes.
And Sansa, big hug for Theon.
Yeah, I did I was surprised. And when Podrick was singing his song and we were kind of like flashing to all of these people experiencing their moment, there you have like Sansa and Theon laughing it up together.
Yeah, I know he got her out of Winterfell, but he was responsible for, a lot of bad stuff that happened also.
Yeah.
So.
Roderick Castle. I mean, that was his name, right? Everyone who was inside Winterfell, like all of her lifelong friends growing up, are dead thanks to Theon.
Yeah. Yep. So, look, Sansa's very forgiving.
Yeah, I guess so. Again, I don't think I would be able to. I would be like, you know what? Let's keep the Ironborn. Let's kill Theon.
Yeah, I think it would be sort of like, Theon, put her there. You're a solid guy after all.
Oh, really? You would just be like, that's cool. No.
I think that like the embrace I thought was a little bit like a little too much for Sansa.
Right. After he has been responsible for the death.
We're even now. Okay, you saved me. You killed a bunch of Northmen. They say the North remembers, but I'm finding that to not be always the case.
Yeah. Maybe they have warm memories. The North remembers warmly.
Yeah, it seems like the common folk they really hold a grudge. Like the highborn in the North, they're much more forgiving.
Yeah.
Stephen, okay, we have to talk about Gendry and Arya. They were on our ship watch last week, and I have to say I was not ready for this. I was not prepared.
That ship was a motorboat. I did not think it was coming so fast.
Easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not that. I just meant in terms of speed, not in terms of.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
That was weird. Again, it all happened very suddenly. Once Arya started negging Gendry about how many women he's been with, and then we were like, oh, I'm like, this is happening. Okay. At what point are we cutting away? And then we didn't. Our astute listeners, one of them in the chat talks about that Arya's bodysuit. I didn't even want to look. I was like, this was too weird for me.
She was wearing a bodysuit?
I don't allegedly by somebody in the chat. I've not had this confirmed, but honestly, I was uncomfortable with the whole thing.
I was really. It's like seeing in my mind, she's 12 years old. It's like,
right.
I understand that.
I understand she's a grown, but in my mind, she's still a kid.
Yes. Yeah. I was really, even when she was when she was started first asking him about his number, I was like, this is a little bit, this is going in a weird direction.
Yeah.
And then she's like, let's do it. Let's get,
and good for Arya. Get it, girl. But for me, I was still that I was not ready.
And her face afterwards, I don't think she thought it was that great.
That is true.
She kind of looked glum when she was lying there, staring off into the distance.
Gendry, not the most experienced guy. That he's no Podrick Payne, I guess.
But he's got Baratheon blood running through his veins.
Cersei has famously said that Robert Baratheon is a terrible lover.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
Yeah. It does. It's in the blood.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll have to go back and see if we have any good Renly stories. Stannis, terrible lover, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Renly was not great for Marjorie.
Great for Marjorie. Yeah. Loras, a different story. But all right, should we talk about the big group of singers with Tyrion and Jaime and Brienne? We talked about the knighting and Podrick. Who else was there? Also, Davos was there.
Oh yeah! After he gave out soup, there were some fun soup
what was
distribution
Davos
moments.
Soup scene? What was that about? And then they had to like cram Gilly in there. It's like, we got nothing for Gilly to do. Like, oh, have her show up at Davos's soup kitchen
and and gaze benignantly at a little girl. And,
no Crips for you. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little bit strange.
Who is this little girl? Who is this girl that is wants to go fight and then is going to go to the Crips with Gilly?
Yeah, it was a little strange. It was a little weird.
I'm like, do I know her? Am I supposed to know her?
No, I don't think so. I think
is she like an avatar for Shireen? She's
just brave little girl, to show the bravery that lives within the smallest of each of us.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm like, does this girl have grayscale?
Or it looks like a wound. It looked like a burn or something.
Well,
yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. Well, maybe I don't know if she was supposed to be like reminding Davos of Shireen, and then she has sort of like her face was marked up a little bit.
Yeah, it's funny. It makes sense. I didn't catch that. I just thought it was like, here's a plucky little girl, and what do we do with her? We're all going to die. Should she go to die?
Yeah, her name is Teela.
Huh, okay.
Like He-Man's sister.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah. And Gilly is going to be hanging out in the Crypts. This was something that came across my Twitter where and I don't have it open right now, but are the Crypts the right place for everybody to be while the Army of the Dead marches in?
Yeah, I mean, at Hardhome, didn't the Night King just like raise up all of the dead people who were there to go attack? Like, why would you go down with other dead people when you know that that's basically his major superpower?
Yeah, this is a similar thought from Daniel Rothair on Twitter. Facing a threat that raises the dead, let's be sure to hide the women and children in the crypts, the places where the bodies of hundreds of years of Starks are buried. I'm sure nothing bad will happen there. Nope, nothing at all.
Although, actually, like dead, like Ned Stark would be a pretty cool, maybe not the most emotionally moving thing, but a pretty cool scene. I would be into that, like dead, headless Ned.
How would you know it was him?
Maybe he's like holding his head by his hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Oh, that would be...
I should be directing these things.
Yeah. We should write the next couple of books. Just bang them out. Could you get George R.R. Martin on Paraphrase podcast?
Yeah, you're right. There's too much. The beginnings are too long to talk about. If I was just talking about the first chapter, it would be, a 6-hour episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of the Crypts, there was a conflict between Jorah and Lyanna, which was interesting, where Jorah is trying to get Lyanna to go in the Crypts. And as always, Lyanna is not having it.
Yeah, and of course she's not going to go into the Crypts, and she's going to go and fight with all of the Mormont forces.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the scene where she tells off the White Walkers. Really shames them.
Yeah, they're like, wow, she is one tough customer.
Yeah, she's yeah.
I guess we can't forget her. She's too unforgettable.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And she's the head of House Mormont, right? Like, she's and then Jorah is just some,
loser.
jerk.
Yeah, excommunicated.
Although now he's got Heartsbane.
Now he's got Heartsbane, and interesting, like all of this, like sword, like passing off, where that Jon has the sword of House Mormont in Longclaw. So now Jorah needs a sword from a different house. And so, whose sword will Sam get? He needs Needle. He can take Needle from Arya.
Yeah, Arya's got this new thing.
She's got a new thing
anymore. Yeah,
yeah. A lot of swords being shuffled about. Missandei and Grey Worm. We got an update on them tonight. They could be headed to Noth at the end of the series.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out where to go, where has good beaches. It's like planning your summer vacation. Like, all right, whose family do we want to be with more? Like, which place has the best beaches? They figured it out.
Yeah. Will Missandei and Grey Worm make it to Noth, Stephen?
Yes, I think yes. I've seen some speculation.
Yeah.
You see, really? You're out?
I'm out. They're not making it to Noth.
I've seen some speculation that, the 3 betrayals of Dany, once for blood, once for love, and once for gold. Theoretically, Jorah Mormont is the gold. Mir Mazdur is the blood. I've seen some people say that maybe the love is Missandei and Grey Worm. This scene actually made me not think that, because they really like set up stakes for them, both of their commitments to the battle and their kind of longer term, goals. I think that if that was going to happen, like they would have maybe like sown the seeds here of an imminent betrayal or a possible betrayal.
I had not heard that theory, but I can't see where Grey Worm is going to turn his back on Dany. Like, are you saying like that Dany is somehow like in trouble and he goes to save Missandei instead?
Yeah, or like at a crucial moment, they're like, you know what, we love each other more than we love all of these other losers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, possibly, but I don't see it, and I feel like that one or both of them's not coming out of this alive.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I think that we are gonna have to lose some folks next week.
Grey Worm has got to die at some point, right? I mean, Grey Worm, he's in the thick of every battle. Yeah.
You would think so. You'd think that.
I guess. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I mean, you either die a hero or live long enough to have boring scenes enough.
And I guess like it's like the classic movie cliche, right? Where as soon as you like say what your long-term dream is, like you're done. That's it. That's it for you. Like when we get out of this, we're going to be on the beaches with our families. Like that's it. You're finished.
Yeah. We had some scenes with Arya and the Hound catching up. Not really anything too eventful. They threw Beric Dondarrion in there. Arya is like, look, this is too boring.
Yeah,
it's too boring.
I was sort of surprised how boring that scene was. Like these characters have such great history. That was, I think, my least favorite of all of the catch-up scenes.
Mm-hmm. We got a lot of Tyrion in this episode as well.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And this, I said at the start of the show that I have two complaints. The first is how easy, how basically everyone just apologizes for their past sins. The second is I really feel like Tyrion as a character is just not what he once was, and he's just so irrelevant.
Yeah. We've been saying this for a while in terms of the rewatch where, I think that peak Tyrion is probably around season 2. And then, he really does, he goes through a lot. He's got the, the whole thing with being framed for Joffrey's death. And he has some great moments there. But really, once he heads east, Tyrion's best days are behind him.
Yeah. I mean, he's like reliably wrong about everything. He's consistently cast aside and humiliated. And he's the.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
go ahead.
Is Tyrion almost like the Survivor returning player who comes back and nothing works?
Yeah, exactly. It's like I've got all these great strategies that I've learned from watching all the podcasts and listening to all the podcasts, and no luck.
It's not working anymore. He wants to go back to Tyrion 1.0, and unfortunately, it has not been able to work. And he's just like fleeced left and right. In the rewatch of last season, that there were some moments that, or at least in season 6, in terms of like the escape from Marine, that he did have some moments where his plan went better than what we had thought on the first watch, but it's not been great. And I think that Tyrion should be exploring some other options as Hand of the Queen.
Yeah, Dany's consistently like negging him and just like casting him to the side, and it's and then he looks behind him, right? And who was it? It was like Varys and Jorah, and he's like, well, one of you will probably be wearing this soon. Yeah,
Varys has had almost nothing here in season 8. He was the one character that they was like to every single person, including Tila. And Varys, did he have a line in this episode tonight?
I don't think so. Which scene would you have put him in if you were going to put him in any scene?
I mean, you could put him in the drinking party. I think that would have been fun. That he
could have been hugging with Theon and Sansa, the three of them, best friends.
Sure. We had some good stuff with Tyrion and Jaime reminiscing about how they're going to probably die. They're going to talk about how Tywin could have been here.
Yeah, only to see his sons die defending Winterfell. That was a pretty good line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty good. All right. Anything else from this episode? We have our big fight coming. I really do believe next week, and I could be wrong about this. So next week we're going to start with our extended runtimes. I think that's going to be the episode that if we're not blown away next week, then I think something's gone terribly wrong.
What do you think it could? What if? How could they extend the table setting? If it was, what would it possibly be if they were
All
if they
King's
could
Landing episode next week.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That would be the greatest betrayal of all.
By the way, are there any of our like principal cast anywhere else other than King's Landing or Winterfell?
Well, Iron Islands is
I guess so. I guess
one,
so. That's the only
one person.
Like I don't think we'll see Dorne again.
Robin, House Aaron.
Yeah, who's watching him?
Yeah, all of the knights are here.
Yeah.
Jan
Royce. Yeah. Samson's always meeting with Jan Royce.
Yeah. Who's watching out for Robin Aaron?
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe he'll come back and sort of like maybe once the Night King takes Winterfell, he'll come in and storm in.
Oh my God, I'm totally blanking. The two characters who defended Bran they're gone, right? Well, one is dead, but the girl, she's gone.
Oh,
forever.
Mira Reed.
Mira Reed, thank you very much.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure she's that's a wrap on Mira Reed for the series. So
I've been wanting like all I wanted from Game of Thrones was Howland Reed to somehow like come storming in, because like Ned Stark talks so much about how rad Howland Reed was, and I've been waiting so long for Howland Reed, and I think I'm gonna have to say goodbye to that dream.
Yeah, I think so too. I saw in the preseason, like in the long lead up to the season, I saw articles written about how Howland Reed could be the key to everything. I don't think so.
Probably not. Yeah, at this point, probably that would be a real surprise.
That would be a real
character
shocker.
Who has no relationship to anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Stephen, then could Bran see the outcome of this? Like, does Bran's vision extend to? Could he see like next week?
Yeah, it is interesting. He seems everything he's said. I was surprised that they didn't like give him some line like, I can't see past this moment. Anything could happen. I feel like you sort of, we've had that and that's been a neat way for people for writers to kind of solve that problem of a character who knows too much to be like, this moment it's all gray. There are too many possible outcomes or something. And I thought that we would get something to kind of address that, because theoretically, if Bran can see the past and the future, like, yeah, he knows what's about to happen.
Well, I thought it was interesting that he's talking to Tyrion, and Tyrion is asking him about, what has happened to him. And, Bran does like the movie cliche thing, like, oh, it's a long story. Tyrion's like, well, if only we were stuck in a castle with nothing to do. If only we could tell. But then we never got any of the fallout from that. I guess Tyrion heard the whole thing and was like, oh, okay.
Right. That is pretty interesting.
See on the flip side. Okay.
Yeah.
So I see in the chat, Bran isn't Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Next week, Stephen, can you see into your green site and tell us 1 week from now?
Yeah.
How does next week's episode end?
Oh wow, a big death, right? Definitely a big death. We maybe they lose. Are they gonna defend Winterfell? That's the big question.
I don't know. I feel like next week ends with we lose Winterfell. Yeah, I'll predict a loss for the Army of the Living next week.
But Bran comes out okay.
I think that some of our cast of heroes ends up either flying off in a dragon or, making, an escape from the Night King's treachery.
Yeah, the Night King is not dying next episode, which means that the Army of the Living has to lose.
Yeah. And I wonder maybe if this episode might be a send-off to a lot of the people that we might lose next week.
Yeah, it did feel that way. It really did feel like sort of this valedictory moment for a lot of these characters, kind of like having their thing. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, like I said about Grey Worm, he had his bon voyage moment. Easily could see Brienne, this being her farewell, right? She got knighted. She had a kind of like the camera lingered on her teary eyes as she smiled and having achieved this dream of hers. That might be it for her. Who else? A lot of likely au revoirs. I think the Hound is going to make it through to next week.
Yeah. But I do think we could say farewell to like the some Beric Dondarrion's Grey Worm. Like I think we're going to thin the herd a little bit next week.
Jaime Lannister.
No, I think that Jaime Lannister has to live to ultimately have some sort of a closure with Cersei.
Yeah, this can't be the end for Jaime.
Were you surprised that Bronn didn't show up here at Winterfell in this episode?
With the crossbow?
Well, when is he showing up with the crossbow after this? I mean, the Night King beat him here. So, I mean, I guess that logistically, it does make sense. So, like, if we would have snapped our fingers of, like, okay, Bronn went from King's Landing one episode, the next day he's in Winterfell. Yeah, I guess that's probably not right. But when are we going to see Bronn with this crossbow?
Remember the end of Die Hard after Hans Gruber is dead, and then like at the very end, the blonde guy like comes back and he's still alive with like his gun. But that's gonna be Bronn. Like just when you think all of the Lannisters are defeated, you know, Bronn comes charging in with the crossbow.
Okay. Lauren in the chat says that episodes 3 and 5 are directed by the battle director. I didn't know that there was one specific person that directs all the battle episodes.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah. And I believe next week's runtime is close to 80 minutes. I think that's actually going to be the case for these final 4 episodes of the series coming up next week.
Oh, that's exciting.
Okay. All right. We're going to start to get the fan line going. So you can go ahead and get to us. Let me just thank one of our sponsors before we get to that. And those are our friends over at Blue Diamond Almonds. If you're watching Game of Thrones, you need to be tired of that same old boring snacks, especially
Porridge.
Tonight. Yeah. Could you imagine if you had boring snacks during some of this?
No.
Forget it. Yeah. Davos would never serve a boring snack at Winterfell. Winter's here, and so is the perfect snack, Blue Diamond Almonds. Whether you're going to work, bored at work, leaving work, these almonds are the perfect snack. Honey roasted flavored almonds, sriracha flavored almonds, wasabi and soy sauce flavored almonds. Do we have your attention? Why keep snacking on boring chips when you could go to the store and pick up Blue Diamond Almonds right now? Even Bran can see into the snack food aisle and knows that Blue Diamond Almonds are the never boring snack that you can eat anytime, Stephen.
The things we do for almonds.
The things we do for almonds. Yes, especially wasabi and soy sauce. Whatever the moment, Blue Diamond Almonds are the perfect snack. Don't deny your cravings. Go pick up some great flavors right now and eat them. Blue Diamond Almonds. Crave victoriously. Okay, let's go ahead and fire up the fan line. We have Josh in San Diego is ready to go. Okay. Let's go ahead and patch him in. Josh, are you there, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
Come in. It's going
great.
Hey,
Josh.
Yes.
Good.
Josh. Okay, you're back.
Yes.
Okay.
So I had a question. It seemed like Jaime's trial at the very beginning, that was a completely all or nothing trial. It's either you die or we let you walk around completely unsupervised.
Yeah.
Talk to whoever you want. We're not going to have like 2 Unsullied watching you, nothing like that.
Yeah.
So it just seemed a little... I don't think Daenerys would do that when he tried to kill her 5 episodes ago.
They did have a big thing where like they gave him back his sword. That's really funny.
Yeah.
It's true. It's like it's A or B. There's no middle ground here.
Yeah.
So that was funny. And then I had a question for Stephen as someone who has experience with stuff like this. Are Tormund Giantsbane's stories real, or is this a Coach Wade situation?
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's it. That's interesting. You're right. There might be. There's probably like a little bit of Coach in Tormund. Whenever anyone is saying like, "Have you ever done this crazy thing?" He's always raising his hand. Like, I've been the one guy to nurse at a giant's bosom.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Some business with a bear.
I can see it
from a few years ago.
Exactly.
See, but the stories are not just only when Brienne is around. So maybe you think he just wants to be liked by everybody?
I don't know.
He's a teller of tall tales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are
All
my
right.
questions. Thanks, guys.
Josh, thank you so much, Josh in San Diego. Okay. All right. Steve in Austin is going to be joining us next, just so there's no confusion. Not Stone Cold Steve Austin. This is Steve in Austin is going to be joining us. Okay. Yes. Hello, Steve. How are you?
I'm
Steve.
good. Long time no talk, guys.
Yes.
Hey, how are you doing?
All right. So I want a quick note before I get to my question. So the note is just the singing scene I felt it was real homage, however you say it, homage to the band playing when the Titanic went down. And it even went so far to like show Sam, Gilly, and little Sam in bed, just like they did in Titanic when they showed that family. Anyways, so go.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I also thought Podrick Payne was looking very dapper, Stephen. I thought that that was like, hey, when did Podrick Payne get so hot?
Yeah, and we can really wield a sword. He was really like, yeah.
He and Theon really grew a head of hair between seasons. I don't know what happened with that.
They had a makeover.
Yeah.
So my main question: does any part of us think that Daenerys does end up not fighting in this battle next week? And her dragons?
I have to say, I kind of thought at the end of the episode, like, is Daenerys just going to peace out right now?
Because she's like tired of defending these Northerners, and she just said she did call it Jon's battle. She said, "I'm here for Jon's battle."
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why does she want to risk herself and her dragons if she thinks that Jon is challenging her claim?
Yeah.
Wow, that would be a dick move.
The only reason why I think that she will not do that is that she can just get on a dragon and leave, and the Unsullied and the Dothraki are kind of screwed. So I don't think that she would leave her people behind.
She did that in season 5 in the arena. She left everybody.
Well, that was a little bit of a different story where they were trying to get her out of there. It was like the Secret Service was like coming in like, get the Khaleesi out of here now. And they got her on the dragon and got her out of there. It wasn't like that, like, okay, you guys have fun in the battle. I'm leaving.
And you think she would have a bone to pick with the Night King after he, turned her other dragon into an undead, beast.
Speaking of the Secret Service, do we think we see Dario and his 2,000 second sons?
I don't think so, because the Second Sons are different than the Golden Company, right, Stephen? Would you say that those are two different things?
Yeah, they're different mercenary groups.
And also, I think the Dario's retired from the Second Sons.
Oh yeah, he did.
No, I don't know about that.
I think isn't he like ruling Marine?
I think with the Second Sons.
The Second Sons are ruling Marine? That doesn't sound like what Dany wants.
They're enforcing her rule.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't think that they're then if Dario got put in charge of Marine by Dany, I don't think he's gonna take contract work to go work for the Golden Company.
Well, hopefully next week we get a really long scene about what's going on in Marine and just sort of the politics.
I think next week is the all Marine episode. We're gonna check it. It's been a season and a half since we've been there. We got to check in.
It's Marine in the Iron Islands.
Yeah. See what's happening over there. All right, Steve. Thank you. Hope you're doing great. The great prolific Steve Davis here with us live on the fan line. Okay. Steven, let's see. Wade in Cleveland is back. Okay, let's
Wade.
Check in with what Wade has to say. All right, let's fire up Wade in Cleveland.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Wade, how are you?
Wade, how are you?
Not bad. How are you guys doing?
Doing very good.
So I have a kind of a weird theory. It might be a little far-fetched about Bran. So I know you guys were kind of on opposite sides about liking the Night King's motivation and all that. What do you think the chances are, like, if Bran dies, that all the people lose their memories and fall? Like, sort of similar to how the Night King died, all the walkers fall. Do you think, like, there could be...
So everybody loses their memory if Bran dies?
Well, see, because you talked about, like, how if he falls, like, it's the endless night. And, like, you think it could be a kind of a thing, like, he's the one target for the Night King, or if he gets Bran, the humans fall.
I thought I didn't necessarily think that like if he dies, like everyone immediately, loses their minds. I more thought like he's like the memory for Westeros generally. He's more like a symbolic.
I think we're getting ready to jump the shark if that's what happens here of Game of Thrones ending of like what everybody lost their memory. It's like wait, hold on.
Happened, but I just wonder if like that could be like.
Oh, maybe that's how Jon and Dany can be together because then they would forget that they're related to each other.
It's like eternal sunshine of the spotless Bran.
Yeah. So,
I have a quick thought about Arya too, which I thought was kind of weird. I know it's
not about the bodysuit, is it, Wade?
No, it's not. Don't worry.
Okay, we don't want to talk about that. Okay.
Neither do I. Trust me. So like the last few episodes, I thought she was getting this like sort of almost a Survivor downfall at it, where she's just been like super cocky about killing all her enemies, And like this episode, she just kept talking about how she thought they were gonna die and it was their last days alive. Like I thought that was kind of weird. Do you have any thoughts about that? Am I being crazy?
What do you think, Steven? Josh has said that he thinks that Arya is not going to make it through season 8. Arya did infamously have a prank with Jimmy Fallon that she said she was going to die in the second episode.
She made it through.
Night. She had a big night.
But she did die in the Shakespearean sense. She did.
Yes. Okay. So there you have it.
Or she didn't actually. I think maybe based on her face.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
I don't know how to pivot from that.
I don't think I thought Josh's thinking was very persuasive. I thought that the idea that there's no real gut punch left. Like anyone, we all like cherish Arya, and that her death would be the most impactful, and therefore it's something that almost like has to happen just because like Martin's basic, his whole idea is to just like kill us by killing our favorites. And so I think I found that really compelling, and I think I buy it.
Yeah I'm almost seeing it too, because like it's like first 2 episodes have been so like chill, like they're almost lulling us into a sense of security that's making me even more scared for the next episode. But
okay,
all right,
thanks a lot, Wade. Okay,
I definitely think we're going to see some. Someone important has to die next. A couple. We got to have a couple like real tragic goodbyes next week.
Yeah, I don't know necessarily what there is for Arya to do moving forward. But that being said, I guess there's some names on her list. I think Arya is going to make it. I don't think that they're going to kill her.
I don't think they'll kill her next week. I think that might be. I buy Josh's theory though that she's not making it out of the finale. Okay,
Stephen, any other thoughts on episode number 2 of the Game of Thrones final season?
No, it was great. It was a real emotional episode. We got a lot of it was fun. It was funny. A lot of really fantastic character moments from characters who we've really grown to love, and I thought it was great, and I'm looking forward to, seeing them all killed next week.
Okay, we are going to have our feedback show coming up on Tuesday. I'll be recording with Josh Wigler, who I'm sure has already published many fantastic articles about this episode. You can follow Josh on Twitter. He is at Round Howard, but you can get your feedback questions into us one of the following ways. You can either send us an email, GOT@postshowrecaps.com. Go to postshowrecaps.com/feedback, or go to postshowrecaps.com/voicemail to leave us a voice message for that show coming up on Tuesday. Or you can also tweet to @Round Howard, who's going to put together all the feedback questions from this episode. Steven.
Wow.
Okay. All right. So 1 week from now, are you on the mend for next week? Are you with us?
I think so. Yeah. It's Tuesday I'm getting surgery, and I feel like I should be able to be.
Okay.
All
right. That if anything should happen, if Steven is going to be too banged up to go through it, we will we'll have you covered one way or another here on the Game of Thrones recap here on Post Show Recap. Steven, any other thoughts?
No, this was great. What did you think? What were your takeaways? Big thoughts, last thoughts?
No, I just think it was the calm before the storm. That's really what this episode turned out to be. And I think that there's probably going to be just a lot of pushback on Twitter, like boring, worst season ever. But I think that it's going to turn around next week.
Because you were sort of down on last episode for being
I wasn't down
many.
on it. I felt like that it was they could give you something here. We're 33% of the way through the final season, and we could have like a thing or two. We've had the big reveals with Jon Snow and his lineage, and those have come early here in season 8. But outside of that, it has been very talky through 2 episodes.
And not even a talkie where like real conflict has been happening, right? Or decisions are being made.
Right.
As soon as anyone's about to decide something, they get interrupted.
Tonight was like one long podcast. The most expensive podcast ever made was tonight's episode of Game of Thrones, but it was still a lot of fun.
I'm curious. Speaking of expensive, I'm curious what the budget, what the line item is for conditioner for the White Walkers. They all have such like luxurious flowing hair.
That's possible. Yeah, I mean, this might have been like the classic like bottle episode where even if this episode cost like $50 million to make, it was like, but we got to save money on this budget somewhere because we've got the most expensive battle scenes on television coming up later on in this season. So maybe this is we need like a lot of scenes of people just talking in different rooms.
Oh, big news! The return of Ghost.
Oh, yes. Where'd you see him?
I didn't see him. I saw people on Twitter saying they saw Ghost. I think I looked down. I looked down at my tweets and I looked up and people were like, and then he was gone.
Oh, okay.
Maybe he wasn't there. People on Twitter said there was a ghost sighting.
So
maybe it was an unrelated.
Jon Snow's direwolf, who was killed by the people, the treacherous people that took out Jon Snow. That he has been reanimated by the Night King.
Oh yeah, I guess not. You know what? It really doesn't make sense. I just was looking at Twitter and people were saying return. Oh, there's Ghost. But you're right. It doesn't make sense. It must have been some other unrelated dog.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that they disposed of his body, didn't burn it, and then the Night King swung. I don't think that the Night King has hit Castle Black though, right?
Yeah. No, why bother?
Okay.
Maybe just another arts and crafts project.
Okay. All right. So
Nicole, he was standing behind John and Sam.
Wasn't it? Didn't he get off to when they killed John? I don't know. A ghost never died. Okay.
Yeah, a ghost never died.
Oh, okay. Seems foolish to not.
Yeah, I believed you. I believed you.
Look,
oh my god!
Look, I had also to keep track of the people. You know,
I felt so ashamed of myself for not knowing. I was trying to cover.
I am a noted pet lover, but I was. I assumed that the same thing happened, like with Rob's direwolf.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So there's one for another thing for people to yell at me on Twitter about. Okay.
I feel like
add
I'm
it to the list,
scenario.
people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Stephen.
I pretended that I knew. You legitimately didn't know. I pretended that I didn't know in order to seem, to play along.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So great job, Stephen Fishback, as usual. And of course, thank you so much to everybody who was able to watch us live. I know we were having some technical difficulties with the stream tonight. So thank you for your patience hanging in there or listening to us on the audio podcast. We greatly appreciate it. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.